Hi, I'm Lauren Magee. Thanks for joining me for another episode of Lauren's Learning Lab. The topic I'm going to talk about today is probably one of the most important topics that we're going to cover in this series. It's the topic of safety and safety in the home. As an architect, I spent a lot of time thinking about the health, safety, and welfare of the occupants of the buildings I designed. But now that our kids are home with us every day, every week, and maybe for the next few months, we really have to double down and think about safety in our homes, in the learning environments that we're creating for them. The statistics for how often children are injured and sent to the ER as a result of accidental furniture tipping are astounding. These accidents are prevalent because often consumer-grade furniture is lightweight, and lightweight furniture is more prone to tipping. Furniture that's made of solid wood, that's heavier at its base, that's got a deeper base to begin with, is just less likely to tip. Regardless of what type of furniture we buy and how heavy or lightweight it is, though, the most important step we can do is make sure that we're properly anchoring our furniture to the walls of our home. Furniture will often come with supplies like this to allow us to anchor it to the wall. A metal bracket anchored securely into the wall, either with long screws that anchor directly into wood studs, or a combination of a screw and a drywall anchor, will allow this bracket to be anchored directly to the wall. A corresponding bracket anchored into wood on your piece of furniture, again using a screw, will then be able to be used in combination either with a bolt or with a strong zip tie to then keep that piece of furniture sturdy and securely anchored and prevent the hazard of tipping. All right, this is a pretty wide, pretty deep set of shelves. So it's less likely to tip than something with a more narrow base, but I still like that it's backed up against this small sofa. It ensures that someone leaning on it is not going to accidentally tip it over. You can also see that its height means that even my 3-year-old can access the things that are on top. That means she's not going to end up climbing this to reach something up too high. Now that our homes have become essentially, places of learning while our kids are out of school, we have to think a little bit more about what we're bringing into their environments. So in these cabinets, the low cabinets and on top of the ledge, I store a lot of materials that my children have access to. I make sure that anything that they might be interested in is low so that they can access it carefully. They don't need to stand on anything to gain access, which means that they're also not trying to climb up on a chair that might tip or climb up on a shelf or onto this ledge to access something up high. So when I talk about independence, that makes my children more resilient and means that they feel comfortable accessing things without needing me. In daycares and in schools, there are really strict regulations around what children have access to based on ability, based on, really just level of danger or a hazard it might pose to a child. So some materials may be limited in a daycare or a school setting, where in our house, children have access to a wider range of things. So it's important to take stock of your environment and make sure that what you have out, what you have accessible, matches the abilities of your children. The next thing we can think about in our environments is how we handle electrical appliances. There are inevitably electrical things. Lamps and some of the toys and equipment we have electrical cords. So just making sure that any electrical cords are tucked out of the way, and also just walking around and making sure that all of your electrical outlets have child safety covers on them. Especially if you're in the process of rearranging furniture for this purpose or any purpose, just make sure that anything that's newly exposed is still safe for kids. So we've seen, I've probably showed before, that my daughter Maeve likes building with blocks, and you can see her constructions tend to be pretty low. They don't get really tall. But my son August, one of his favorite things to do is build replicas of famous buildings. We have this really cool skyscraper book, and he builds these scale replicas of the buildings using our unit blocks. Obviously, these structures are a lot taller than what Maeve makes, and so we have to encourage her to be a little more cautious when she's walking around, both in order to keep the creations from getting knocked over, but also to keep her toes from being smushed by blocks falling. The kitchen helper is one of my favorite pieces of equipment
because it means that my daughter can be at counter level to help us out and work with us, but she can be there really safely. She's on a non-slip surface. I don't have to worry about her falling down, so we can just focus on the fun parts of working and being in the kitchen together.
Another thing to look at is to make sure that when you are putting furniture up against a window or close to a window, it's not giving kids an unnecessary opportunity to climb up and be too close to that window where a pane might break, or they may accidentally fall out if the window's open, even if the screen's down. And then finally, right, our kids are home all the time, kids get boo-boos. Take a look through your first aid kit, make sure that it's well stocked, and while you're at it, make sure your fridge is well stocked, because if your kids are like mine, hungry kids are scary kids. Thanks for joining me in this episode on safety. There are a lot of resources out there and really comprehensive lists that you can check out. We've included links in the video description below for additional resources. Check them out when you have a moment and, see what's out there that fits your situation. Each house and arrangement is unique. But making sure that our home environments are safe for home learning, safe for living, safe for the everyday means that we can free up our brain space to really enjoy the fun parts of home learning and living and, being at home with our kids. I'll see you next time. Thanks again for joining me.